Hello and welcome to the Magic Bringers Rising episode for the last week of July of 2023, the 24th through the 30th. And in this episode, find out all about how the softer energies coming in are leading us deeper and deeper into our own courage, love, and manifestations.
Welcome to Magic Bringers Rising Chats, a show by Super Secret Powers. I'm your host, Lindsay Baldessano, and let's get ready for a dose of energy healing, channeled guidance, and humor to keep your intuitive flow open and your roots grounded so you can weave the life of healing, spiritual purpose, and magic that you want.
So we've got a very different kind of week lined up for us in comparison to what the summer had in store for it earlier in June and July and all that. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and we are now in the lead up to the Lionsgate portal on 8/8. So things are going to, well, I mean, the energy is going to be big energy, but I have a feeling it's going to be so soft that a lot of sweetness, a lot of grace is going to come through, and it's going to kind of balance out a lot of the big, heavy outer planet stuff that's been going on with the Saturn and the Neptune and the Pluto and the. So we start off this week with Chiron and Venus now, but Chiron in retrograde. So deep reflection. And between Venus, which went retrograde over the weekend, and Chiron, that's going retrograde on Monday, that means we have 5 planetary bodies in retrograde. It's just our summer retrograde season. It's what it is. Um, and we are leading up to the pre shadow of Mercury retrograde. Yeah. Finishing sentences. So y'all know what I'm talking about. Um, but on Tuesday we have like a Neptune Pluto thing, which like that adds to this whole aspect of emotional healing. And then we're 2 weeks out from Lionsgate. The 26th, we have a 22 Master Day, and it's also a day when Saturn's doing some stuff. So I have a feeling like we're going to start pivoting into this whole new idea, concept, energy level, energy dimension of learning to work from our hearts and learning what responsibility feels like when it's not all like in your head. Now, there might be a propensity in some of this energy to get in the head. And I think that's just going to kind of like in the beginning of the week. I think it will fade off, um, at least until next week. Because on Sunday, then Mercury goes into Virgo and it's getting ready to do its retrograde dance. So we're back to details and we're back to planning and we're back to trying to arrange things in the physical 3D world again. So, really, kind of take this week as like this sweet reflection point and this sweet kind of review point, um, and try not to be as attached to the past as you can be. Just because old stuff is coming up doesn't mean it's coming up because we have to relive it. Sometimes it's just coming back into our awareness because we see where the pattern could be inserted again, where the pattern had been inserted in the past. So it's almost like look what you overcame, or look, there is a million ways to take this. So, and like, it's almost like a validation that you were able to shift into, or you're in the process of shifting into something that's more healthy. But a lot of grounding is, I think, really going to be needed. Not so much like earth, like deep earth grounding, like we're talking, like, but more like from head to heart or from head to sacral. Something that keeps it in the body, keeps us in action, because I think retrograde season is like this action thing. Um, Even if like the actions are making a choice, and the choice, like you have to sign a piece of paper, or like we're not talking about like go and joining necessarily the Iron Man kind of action, but we're just being in the flow of choice, right? And as long as we can stay there and stay pretty much okay with our choices without downward spiraling, without overthinking, without worrying, without completely freaking out for big lengths of time after we make a big choice, we're relatively good. And we're relatively in this sweet spot with our intuition, with our alignment, where we know for the most part that, right now we're where we need to be, where we want to be with it, with of course always trying to transition into something better. um so I'm certainly not saying like y'all want to be like in foreclosure, or y'all like, it's the situation is what it is, and it was brought about by many different factors. Not all of them have to do with you. Because if a bank calls in a note, a bank calls in a note. There are some very limited actions you can do to get them to change their minds. So, you got to be okay with what choices are available to you in the moment, whether it's doing, the bank's route and trying to get them to, stop the foreclosure, or it's finding out how you can walk away as free as you can into something else, into something new, into that next chapter. So you got choices. Find those choices. Find the ones you'd be okay with doing right now, or at least buying yourself a little time. I wouldn't actually wait though, because I mean, after Lionsgate, we've got a couple weeks until we're like smack dab in the middle of more transitional energy, let's say, with eclipse season. So it's going to take a level of trust, right? And that's where the grounding from head to heart, or from head to sacral, or head, heart, and sacral, to get that alignment going, so that we can be in this trusting place, and we can just be in this place where we're not hanging on every decision we made, picking it apart and wondering if we did the right thing. Can't afford that. Can't afford that right now. And we can't afford it because this Venus retrograde in Leo, with Lionsgate coming up, and the Syrian portal opening, it's got some beautiful stuff to it. And we need to enjoy that too. So this certainly isn't about how Saturn has been, like I'm saying. It was kind of heavy. It was just like, what have you been doing? Or is what you're doing getting you where you want to go? Hmm. Saturn likes to ask that question. Saturn and Mercury. So, yeah, I think it's going to just be a little bit sweeter, and we have to allow it to be sweeter, and we have to really tune into this alignment thing with our head, our heart, and our sacral root. But I'm saying sacral for this week because we have, Venus just gone retrograde, and we have a lot of emotional stuff going on. So I think sacral really needs to be involved in that. Because our enjoyment right now is probably going to be one of the bigger emotional, or bigger intuitive messages coming through. We've just done this dance with the heavier stuff, and now we get to dip into what pleasure has to say. And pleasure, specifically because it's in Leo and we're going to Lionsgate, pleasure that lights us up, pleasure that brings out our inner leader, even if it's not like a fully serious kind of archetype or persona. Um, Leader, just because you change the energy when you walk in a room, and you can control the flow of something to a degree when you are in your presence and you choose to bring an energy, a virtue, a quality, a guide into the conversation that's happening. So don't try and, pick apart those old wounds as they come up, or those old patterns. Don't beat yourself up over them. That's not the point. That's not really where the universe wants to go with that message. I can almost guarantee you. It's really just seeing, like, all right, you've made a couple steps in the right direction. But if you say you want this bigger thing, whatever it is, $1 million, um, what else do you need to be in alignment with that? Because it's not all like good and wonderful stuff. Living with $1 million is still living life, and living life paying taxes, and living life managing money around, and living life trying to be in your wisdom about how to manage it and disperse it and guard it over time. It's, I say this often, that next level isn't bringing necessarily all rest, all tranquility, no more problems. It's just bringing a different perspective, a different set of freedoms, and a different set of mastery skills. So when you're in that place where you're looking for that rest, that when are things going to be easy? Well, things aren't going to be easy. Things are going to be what they are. But you're probably feeling a little drained and maybe a little overtaxed, maybe a little overburdened. Maybe it's time to just take some me time. Take a weekend, go away by yourself or something, or just with the people who are going to nourish you and fill you back up again. And take that time to refill your cup before approaching the problem again. Don't even think about it. I mean, if it comes, if the answer comes to you, the answer comes to you. If it comes to you, when you've gotten home, you say, like, this feels like crap still. I don't want this to feel like crap. How could I change that? Whatever. Don't worry about the timing of it. There is a lot of revelation, a lot of downloads, a lot of transmission, a lot of new thought, new healing coming through for this whole month. It just kind of begins with Lionsgate because then we begin the integration process, and that always takes some beautiful kind of quiet moments where we're tapped into something new, going like, well, what do I do with this? And this beautiful grace comes forward where sometimes you just feel yourself leaning one way or the other, and then all of a sudden, you're onto something new, or the next chapter looks like it's about to begin. You know, who's to say? Well, you are. You are, because you're in choice. But um, before we go on to light language, and the light language is going to help us, you know, kind of tune into the energies that are already coming through about Lionsgate. And I feel like it's probably going to need to do a little bit of sacral opening and heart tuning and all that kind of stuff. Um, just want to remind everybody that if you need more personal support on this, if you need, really that kind of safe space where you can just say what you need to say and get it out of you, I do offer a return to power session that really puts you in a deep conversation, a channeled conversation with guides, guardians, spirits, mainly, but from the Akashic field. So it is very high level wisdom, and it is stuff that is looking at the whole of your multidimensional self and not just you who might be stuck having some money problems. So we can really bring about like bigger system healing than just like, I guess I got to work on my abundance. I'm going to work on my root and my sacral. I mean, that's all nice and good, but that is nice and good, and that happens. But when the whole thing from your grid levels back in start to shift and change, and energy patterns change, energy habits can, come into being that are just, you're going to be running in a different way, and it won't necessarily be about the old wounds or the old thought patterns that you still have or that you used to have trapped in there, because now, like, in a way, they've been rerouted. So we're going to do that level. We can do that level of work in the return to power sessions. And I do have the flow with your intuition sessions, which are all about you coming into a much better, sweeter flow space with your intuition, your empathy. And that could be, helping you fill in the gaps about how this is working, about how to manage those energies and how to manage those gifts, about, just really coming to a deeper relationship that's a healthy relationship with your intuition and your empathy. Because it's very easy to get disillusioned when you're an intuitive, or if you're an empath, get, drained because your boundaries are like either non existent or they're, just not where you need them to be to keep your own energy, your own thoughts together, and not be flying off in a million directions because, you're living this interrupt driven life of, caretaking and jumping from one problem to somebody else's problem. Yeah, no. Let's not do that anymore. Let's not do that anymore. Hop on my website at supersecretpowers.com and, you know, book that first session, and we'll see if we're a match, if a package is a good idea for you at this time. But certainly that first session will change some stuff for you because, Akashic work. All right, on to light language. All right, so welcome to the light language portion of this week's video, and we are going to start with. It's woohoo wants to jump out of my hand. This is the second time now, but we're going to start by opening up ourselves to some very much higher frequencies with the intention of bringing in the kind of Syrian Lion's portal energies and allowing that stream to just start coming through now, just so we can kind of ease into this as we can, because you know what? Divine timing is not our timing. But I don't know. I feel like there's enough of it available now that we want to start bringing this in holographically, in a sense, full body. So let's try doing that. And then we'll do some 528 and probably some light language, because I feel like things to really kind of link in that heart and that um, solar plexus, or no, sacral stuff. So for you, just take that deep breath and come to center. Just allow yourself to relax. Now that we've kind of opened up and tuned into the Lion's Gate and the serial portal energy, I'm just going to connect that down with the Sacred Heart. Down to the sacral. And as we draw this to a close, I feel like this is something that's just beginning to unravel some stuff. Um, so, yeah, follow that. Follow that. Make some notes about what that might have brought up for you, and what kind of comes up over these next couple days. And as we head closer to Lionsgate, expect a lot more revelation and cohesion and alignment around those kinds of things that came up for you. Yeah, we're all right. Well, thank you for showing up for the collective and for yourself and for all of the circles, past, present, future, that you influence and affect and heal. And if you found this beautiful, if you found this useful, if you found this resonant, if you got the chills just from listening to me do my thing with the tuning forks and the guides, then of course, like, follow, share, subscribe to Super Secret Powers on YouTube and or Facebook. And I will be on again on Wednesday on Facebook for the Living with Intuition web series with my friend Andrea. So I will see you there, and don't forget to join the Magic Bringers Rising free group on Facebook. All right, love you very much. Remember to check out the show notes wherever they may be on your channel for the link to my sessions in case you do need that deeper work, or if you want to see if we're a match for working together. And I look forward to hearing from you and what work wants to come forward at this time. All right, brightest blessings.